Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look at what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, we're talking all about Saturn entering Aries, which is a very significant and longer-lasting transit. Technically, it did start last week. But if you listened last week, we talked all about Gemini season and mentioned why we were giving this one a special spotlight. But if you still want to know more about Gemini season and what you can expect and missed it, then definitely check out last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, we will be talking about two transits next week, Venus entering Taurus and Mercury entering Cancer, and how both of those transits will affect you.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. So Saturn entered Aries on Saturday, May 24th at 11:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know. This is a pretty impactful transit because Saturn is the planet of discipline and structure, and it changes signs only after a few years. But when we have Saturn entering a new sign, it changes the way that we as a society or as an individual think about structure, discipline, karma, and responsibility. Since this is Saturn starting a whole new cycle, entering the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, and it hasn't been here since the late 90s. This is going to mark a really big collective shift where we're kind of beginning from the beginning. In Aries, which is the sign of leadership, it's the sign of the self, it's the sign of instinct, Saturn challenges us to mature and to grow up in the way that we assert ourselves, meaning that for you in your life, this transit is going to be about developing courage, also mastering patience, and learning how to take initiative while still staying grounded. Think of this as settling into your foundation for the long-term future, where you are safe to test out bold ideas, and only the ones that are really going to set you off on the right trajectory are going to be the ones that will stick around.
How you will feel. This transit can be a time to really check in with yourself. With Saturn in Aries, the usual boldness and energetic energy of Aries does become a little bit more serious and reflective. This is a time where you are pushed to take accountability, to stop procrastinating, or to confront things you're no longer able to either overlook or push off, and really hone in on the Aries energy and take on those challenges head on.
Where this will show up in your life. This energy is likely going to show up in areas where you feel you're being called to step up. Maybe for years you have been not really asserting yourself the way that you need to, and now you're being called to learn to assert yourself, or you're finally going to do things that you've been saying you're not ready to do, whether that is starting a business or taking more control of your life in general. Or maybe you've always wanted to be a runner and now you're finally going to sign up for the marathon. Since Aries rules the self, you might also be redefining your identity, how you show up, what you stand for, and what leadership looks like for you. There's also a subtle theme around being a warrior, since Aries is the warrior spirit. But Saturn is asking you what is worth fighting for, and you'll begin to start to see which battles actually deserve your energy.
What will become important to you? Your focus during this time is going to shift towards independence, self-discipline, and also your personal goals. You'll start to care more about your future and building a life that is aligned with you and your values. You also can feel at times like you need to prove yourself, not necessarily for others, but to yourself, that you're capable of achieving the goals you set, building habits, and maintaining boundaries that you have set for yourself. You also might notice that certain aspects of your life, whether that's goals you set or things that you're working towards, no longer feel motivating. And that's a sign that those things are pulling you away from the things that you truly want for yourself.
If you're wondering how long this lasts, for this year, Saturn will remain in Aries until it does retrograde back into Pisces on September 1st. But Saturn does re-enter Aries again in 2026 on February 13th. And from there, it'll stay in Aries until it enters Taurus on April 12th of 2028. So this is a longer cycle that will unfold in layers. So you might not feel it happen right away. This is a transit that's effects might be felt a little bit more throughout its journey.
And per usual, certain signs will be more affected than others. The signs most affected by Saturn in Aries are Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. Personal placements only, meaning Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, or Mars placements. Regardless of your personal placements, if you do have Saturn in Aries in your birth chart, you will also be experiencing your Saturn return, which usually happens the first time around the age of 29. And then there's a second one that happens at 58. If you want to know more about what your Saturn return is and what you might be experiencing, we do have an episode all about Saturn returns. So you definitely will want to check that out if you do have Saturn in Aries. If you're not sure if you have Saturn in Aries in your birth chart, Saturn was in Aries between April 7th, 1996 and June 9th, 1998, and also from October 25th, 1998 to February 28th, 1999. So if you were born within those times, then you definitely want to check it out because this is your Saturn return, and you'll want to check for what degree Saturn's in as well, just to get a better idea of when this transit will be the strongest for you.
And that is it for this week's episode. Just a reminder, next week we'll be talking all about Venus entering Taurus and Mercury entering Cancer. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday.